Hello and welcome to Capgemini's TechnoVision 2023. Today is all about how to do good, do less and do well. My name is Jade Gamlin and I will be your host for this hour of conversation, revelations and eye-opening ideas straight from the mouths of industry-leading experts. And they all have one thing in common: the desire to select the right technology and future-proof the business, and do it all while delivering a positive societal impact. Yes, we find ourselves in very challenging times of scarce resources, operational disruptions, and with increasing sustainability commitments. So we must be smart when selecting, implementing, and delivering technology, and carefully balance the expected positives with the resulting impact. So the question is no longer, can we build it? But indeed, should we build it? Now, we already know that the emissions generated by the IT industry alone are responsible for 4% of CO2 emissions globally. That is 1.5 times more than those generated by the aviation industry. And what's more, this level of emissions is projected to grow by up to 14% in the coming years. Some pretty sobering numbers, hey? But thankfully, we have the next 60 minutes together to navigate a new approach to technology. And to help us do that, we need you to interact as much as you possibly can in today's session. And there's plenty of you here with us in the audience today, so we want to hear your views, questions, expertise, and they're an absolutely invaluable part of today's event. So please get involved in our polls, ask questions using the chat function, and don't be afraid to share your own experiences. And lastly, please do turn on your cameras now, just like this lovely lot already have. Hello, I can't wait to chat to some of you. We can even bring you up on stage to be a part of the show. And what's more, lovely producer Lucy is on hand should you need anything at all. You can contact her on the Zoom chat. Those are just some of the ways you can take part today. Here's a few more.
Here are 3 ways to get the best event experience on Zoom. 1. Please make sure you are on mute, but turn your cameras on. This is an interactive virtual event, and like any event, being able to see their audience really helps our speakers. 2. Full screen is a much sharper image than minimized screen. 3. Please change your name in Zoom to your first name, last name, and your company name. This helps our event producers find you both for your chosen sessions and when you want to ask a question. Speaking of which, our events become really valuable when you get involved. So join the conversation. Taking part could not be easier. Just raise your virtual hand or put your question into the chat. We can even bring you up on stage. Our producers are always on hand to help.
Yes, it really is that easy to get involved. And to show you just how simple it is, Let's try a quick poll, shall we? I'd love to know what you're hoping to take away from today's event, and that poll should be on your screens right now. So please do get your answers in. And while that's running, let's take a look at today's agenda. Well, we've got an absolutely fantastic jam-packed panel with Capgemini's Group Chief Innovation Officer, Pascal Briet, and Capgemini's Executive Vice President and CTO, Ron Toledo. We're also joined by Forrester's VP and Research Director, James McQuivey, and Link & Co's Chief Digital Officer, David Green. Then towards the end, all of our panellists are going to be taking your questions, so please do get those over to us throughout the panel. And without further ado, let's see them now. Hello, welcome to you all. How are you doing?
We're fine, thank you. Hello, Jade.
Hi there.
Hello.
Wonderful being.
Great to see you. Well, I'm going to be chatting to you really shortly. Just before we do get into it, we're going to hear from Pascal Briet just about what TechnoVision 2023 has in store for us. Pascal, hello. How's tricks?
Hello, Jade. Hello, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon. Thanks so much for being with us today. You know, Jade, as you just said, we are running our business in very challenging times, very interesting times, at least, I would say. You know, on one side, we face an avalanche of technologies, and sometimes those technologies are emerging almost in a halo of hype, just like I would say the metaverse or ChatGPT in the very last week of the year. And it makes it difficult for us as business leaders or IT practitioners to make a decision whether we should pick them or when we should embrace them. And on the other side, we are also experiencing a new world of scarcity, which is just in front of us. I mean, it's scarcity of energy, scarcity of materials, scarcity of talents to run those systems, scarcity of money sometimes, and also scarcity of time, as well as a growing awareness, as you just mentioned it, and pressure from our CO2 footprint and the consequences all this footprint will have on climate. So it's our view, and that's what we share in the latest edition of TechnoVision, that the choices we make on technologies will really define the kind of future we will build for ourselves going forward. And this explains the theme that you see in front of us for TechnoVision this year. Right the technology, right the future, because we think that it reflects a new approach to technology. Obviously, technology is first our best ally. This report does not advise to use less technology. That might be the case sometimes, but most of the time that would be foolish and that would be unwise. And as we expressed it already numerous times, today, every business is by essence a technology business. So from cloud to data, AI onto the metaverse or the IoT, there are many technology options, and definitely they are the best options to ensure that our business develops. But I think on the other side, we really need to change the way we act, to be mindful, really mindful. It's not about greenwashing, really mindful about the resources we have at our disposal today, but mainly tomorrow. And the fact, as you said, that we can do it doesn't mean we should do it every time. So we believe that the challenge, and that's what we express in TechnoVision, and I would encourage you to download the report and read through those trends. We believe that the challenge is really in selecting the right technologies, but also, and maybe mainly, on the writing the usage of those technologies to the appropriate level. And this is how, to some extent, we will build, obviously, the future we want for our organization. And to close the loop with the theme of today's discussion, we think that by choosing to do good, but also sometimes to do less, this is how we will do well.
Okay, an excellent introduction, Pascal. If that doesn't give you some food for thought and excitement about what's to come, I don't know what will. Thank you, Pascal. Let's get going, shall we? And kickstart our first panel. Please welcome back to the stage Ron, James and David. Hello to you all. Welcome back. Are you all settled into TechnoVision 2023?
Absolutely.
Raring to go. Okay, well, we heard that intro from Pascal there. So shall we start then by talking a bit about what technology is crucial to embrace right now? David, I'm going to start with you if that's okay. At Lynk & Co, you're really changing the shape of the car industry. So no doubt you're no stranger to digital innovation, are you? How do you then avoid jumping on the next tech bandwagon? Oh, you're just on mute there, David. Sorry about that. Oh, okay. A little problem, David's end. Don't worry, we'll get that sorted right away. James, that means I am going to jump over to you, if that's all right. Well, we just saw David's audio. You are our resident expert in changing consumer behaviours and digital trends. Now, I don't want to put you out of a job or anything, and don't feel you have to share all your trade secrets. But can you tell us how we can determine then what is useful and what's not when it comes to technology?
Well, that's really the challenge, isn't it? Because every time we start talking about doing less or using less of this technology, we still have to make the smart choice about which technologies we've got to use. And so you can't just say, oh, there's 17 options and I know how to pick one because I'm just that smart and I know everything that's going to happen. You do have to have some kind of portfolio approach to the technologies that are available to you. You don't make decisions based on headlines you read. You don't make decisions based on what your peers are doing in your industry. You make decisions based on what's working for your customer, but you don't know what's working for your customer until you start to try. Part of the secret here, if someone says, well, James, a portfolio approach means that I've got to pick maybe 5 different things and start to experiment with them. And the answer is yes, you must. But the trick is learning how to quickly discern whether or not that thing you are trying is going to work for your customer or not. And if not, you cut it. You don't take a year to figure it out. You take a month to trial it and test it. And then that's 11 months of effort and 11 months of wasted technology that you have cut. Talk about doing less while at the same time maintaining your portfolio open so that you are able to pick that other thing and maybe the next thing that will actually deliver value to your customers more efficiently and effectively than before.
Okay, well, that's a really fascinating perspective. David, if we got you back so I can pick your brains about that. Yeah, is your headset all good, David? Have we got you? Not quite. Okay, no problems. Ron, coming straight to you here then, what are your thoughts? We did just hear from James there, we need to work out if it's going to work for our customers or not when it comes to making that technology decision. Is that what should be front of mind?
Well, let's get back to the theme of the whole thing, Jade. It's a wordplay, right to technology, right to future. And if you know TechnoVision a bit, we've already been in this business for 15 years with TechnoVision, mind you. Still very up to date, I hope. But it's, we like wordplays. And this is a bit of a wordplay and also an audio play, I guess, in a way as well. Because right, sounds a little bit like writing as well. So right, in a way, we use an adjective, of course. So it's making smart choices. I think we all realize that the big challenges of this time can be addressed by technology. We know whether it's uncertainty, whether it's scarcity of all the things that Pascal mentioned, whether it's the quest for sustainability. We know that technology is fully entwined with whatever equation, whatever scenario pans out, right? But that means you have to make the right choices. And TechnoVision, as it is such a, I would say, wide tool set of different trends, provides all the materials you need in order to make these choices, right? But right also as an adjective in terms of doing good things, right? So actually choosing the technologies that are beneficial to society, to the sustainability journey, and don't have the negative impact of, for example, the sustainability impact itself, right? Producing itself a lot of CO2, depending a lot itself on scarce energy. So that's the use of the word, as an adjective, but also right is a verb. And so this is about right sizing. Maybe because we have scarcity, because we have this quest for sustainability, we need to right size the technology we use for all of our different purposes. And then, of course, it's a matter of writing in terms of finding the proper balance, because we see a lot of different benefits, and I'm sure we'll be back on it in a few minutes. We see a lot of different benefits in applying these technologies for all the challenges we face. And on the other hand, there is this environmental impact, there is scarcity impact, for example, in terms of the number of people we need, there's the energy impact. So balancing that, writing the equation is a very important one as well. So that's why I like the title, and then of course, as you can imagine, we can play a little bit with the way you pronounce things, and writing the future as actually in creating, or nowadays with AI generating, if you like, the future is of course then a consequence, a result of writing that technology. And then, as I said, you could address any business challenge, any business opportunity you would like to address with the right technologies. And that's really what we've designed TechnoVision for, to help us on that journey and make smart choices.
Yeah, fascinating stuff, Ron. Thank you. Well, James, coming back to you then, we heard there from Ron, these are times of scarce resources. Perhaps we shouldn't be rushing forward with innovation. Are you seeing that this prompt for sustainability, the reduced economic and land resources, are they going to have an impact on the speed of innovation?
Well, if we do it wrong, they'll have an impact. By wrong, I mean, if we suddenly say across the board, we need to slow down or cut things, then we'll do it wrong. My whole encouragement to everyone listening is to learn how to be quick about determining which things are going to be the right technology so that we can write the future. The quicker you are, the fewer resources you waste, the more quickly you can determine without having to decide in advance. One of the problems with sustainability efforts is that some people think, well, I can't even begin to experiment with something until I've decided whether it's the right thing for society. You don't necessarily know yet in most cases. So you have to quickly experiment, learn whether it is good for your customer, good for society, and then if it is, accelerate. But if it's not, cut it and move on to the next thing. You could go through in 1 year 12 different experiments like that, rather than one experiment, which after a year either pays off big or not at all, and you'll be in a much better, more innovative position. That's the power of doing this less approach.
Such a good point. And essentially you're saying, we don't have a year to waste to test and learn from. David, over at Link & Co, is that something that you're seeing? You need to act quickly when it comes to deciding what's the right technology to take you on that next step forward?
Act quickly. Crikey, yes, things change really fast. And there's probably not a day that goes by with someone calling you up or sending you a LinkedIn message trying to offer you some metaverse, AI or blockchain. I think the trick is to take a step back and think about not the technology but the use case, how it's going to be applied. Normally what you're trying to do is fit a need to an available technology, so to keep ahead of the trends, know what's going on, so when a need comes up, know how to make your business more efficient using the latest tech. But there are occasions, of course, where something comes up that is a new use case, a new capability, and you've got to learn to ride the right waves. We've all made some mistakes and hopefully had some successes in that.
And are you able to shed any light on perhaps an example that you've faced at Link & Co, where you've taken that step? Perhaps it was a bit of a gamble, but it's taken you forward on your innovation journey.
Yeah, I mean, we really did take quite a big gamble. We built a sort of basically a full end-to-end ecosystem, from a white piece of paper. And we took a step into some of the latest technologies to enable us to do that, cloud first and a full digital journey, including a car in the ecosystem. So the idea was that you would sign up on the website for an interest account, and then ultimately you end up with a vehicle that you log into that car with the same account and with the same profile and with the same history. To do that, we've made some decisions, and some of them were right and some of them were very painful, and we've been working hard to roll them back and fix them. It's a very difficult thing. There's so many decisions in there and so many technologies. I think one of the tricks is always trying to remember that you're not trying to fit the perfect application to the perfect scenario. You're trying to get a whole landscape that works together in the most efficient way. I think that's the trick to really play.
Okay, some sage advice indeed. And I'm going to come back to you, James, if you don't mind. Any tips then on being able to future-proof our organisations? You know, we've been through so much over the last couple of years. The impact of COVID, now we've got a looming recession over us. What are you foreseeing are going to be some of the big movements when it comes to future-proofing?
I think the first thing for people to recognize is that this accelerated pace of innovation and change and being able to react to changing circumstances, as we have done for the last 3 years now, that pace isn't going to change. So to David's point about being quick and able to make these changes, that's not just a 3-year aberration we can now comfortably move away from. So the pace at which we operate with each other, that's collaboration within the organization, that's understanding data from the customer. I love David's example of having an account on a website that eventually becomes the same account you use for a car. I mean, that makes it simple for the customer, but it also makes it simple for the internal relationship to be managed across multiple experiences for that customer. And just being able to simplify so that you can maintain a very simple but powerful relationship with customers over time. That's the thing that we hopefully have learned during the pandemic, and hopefully we will preserve. Let's make that what we're working on. Let's work together with our internal workforce, which is going to make all of this happen, and also make sure that our ecosystem partners have the same philosophy and the same approach to agile quickness.
Absolutely. It is all about that third-party collaboration as well. You know, we're not just in our organisations anymore, are we? And that collaboration piece across multiple experiences absolutely going to drive us forward. Well, you heard it here first. If you like what you're hearing so far and have come up with some burning questions for our panellists, please do pop those into the chat now. We'll be getting our team here to answer those a little later on. For now, though, should we try another poll? We'd love to find out all about your focus areas for 2023. So please, if you had to pick one of the following, which of these would it be? Perhaps it's contributing to societal good. Is it aligning the business with technology? Maybe it's creating an adaptable and open systems and processes, or is it having a trustworthy and secure organisation? Perhaps your eyes are more on that human-centred data and AI piece, or are you truly driving hands-free automation? Those are your options. You should be able to see those on your screen. Please get those into us now, and we're going to be discussing your responses. So a few more seconds, just waiting for some more of you to respond. Yeah, do get those votes in. Come on, I can't wait to see what you've chosen. There are a lot of options there. I'm looking forward to hearing what you've said, and we're going to be hearing from our panellists what they anticipate your results are going to be. Okay, we're going to close really, really shortly. We've got 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That poll is closed. No more answers, please. And we will be seeing your results in just a moment. For now, though, let's bring back David and James, because I want to get your perspectives. Hello, both, long time no see.
Hello.
Hi. So you heard those options there. Any thoughts on what you think is going to come out top from our audience? Do you want a quick recap of the options?
No, I think I can remember it. If I was to be pushed to guess, I think there's going to be a fairly even spread amongst the questions. I'll tell you why. Having to pick myself, it's quite difficult to decide. It's a bit like a car and trying to decide between the engines, the wheels, the pedals, and the steering. They're all quite important. My guess is the the smart people would be trying to work out which combinations. You can't do everything, but which combinations would be right.
Oh, right.
Pushed, I would say, if you can't do anything else, choose something that focuses on the customer.
Okay, sage advice indeed. James, what do you think?
Well, so I don't know that people will choose the thing that focuses on the customer. I think that's the suggestion that I would go along with. You should. But I imagine people are going to look at business and technology alignment, perhaps, as one of the keys, just because it is such a sticking point that there is, we get really good at the technology, but we don't get aligned with the business, or we focus on the business, but where the technology isn't as strong. So I'll be curious to see what the answers are. That's not what I would have picked. If I were picked, I'd go in the human-centered direction. I like trust. I like human-centered. Hard to pick one of those two, though.
Okay, well, you don't need to decipher anymore. We are going to find out. Those poll results are in. Let's see what you all chose. Okay, here we go. They're totting up, wow, with quite an overwhelming majority, 36%. We've got business and technology alignment. Closely followed, joint 21%. We've got plans and actions contributing to societal good. Lovely to see that coming out on top. Joint with human-centered AI and innovation. And then further down, the other two, hands-free automation, just 2%. Wow, are you surprised by those? David, let's come to you first. You thought it was going to be fairly even. It absolutely wasn't.
All right, we can all be wrong. I guess business and technology alignment. James, you win. There you go. It does make a lot of sense. Hopefully the business is focused on the customer.
Yeah, hopefully. And David, what did you make of those? James, sorry, what did you make of those results then? Business and technology alignment, that's quite a hot topic for people at the moment. Is that something you're seeing in your own work?
Oh, it is, absolutely. It's where we spend a lot of our time. There's the how do we make this happen, from strategy to the vision of the strategy down to the application of that strategy. And those are just fundamental business issues, which from the perspective of Forrester, as a company that tries to measure and analyze which technologies are going to help people, it's remarkable how much of our time people spend asking us, okay, you've told us about the tech. Now, what about the how do we make this work in the business? And it ends up being a lot of what we do. So I understand why that was big. I think for me, what I was hoping was that people would say, okay, as David said, the business should be aligned on the people. Now, it's interesting that society came up so high and human-centered data and AI sort of came out so high. I think they're both human. So I like that. People were reaching for, okay, what are we doing with the people? Because ultimately it's the people that will matter, even in the business. The people working in our business are part of the people that matter. And I think that's one of the reasons we aim for better societal good, is that it makes the employees proud to work here. And when they do feel that way, they're more engaged and more likely to serve the customer energetically and choose to grow in their careers with us. So that all makes sense. I think I do worry a little bit. We heard the word, I think it was Pascal who said greenwashing. There is sometimes this tendency to say, well, if I say we're focused on societal good, everyone will leave me alone to focus on the business and the tech. So of course we have to work to make sure that's not happening. But overall, I think the answers made sense.
Jade, can I react to this poll?
Absolutely. I believe that's Pascal we can hear.
Yes. Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
that's
over
Pascal.
to you.
Yeah.
No
Just
problems.
wanted to react because I was surprised by the 2% only on hands-free automation.
Yeah.
And I would like to insist on the fact that among the trends that we've identified, this one is also very important. Because behind hands-free automation, what we have as well is the possibility to do less. In a world of scarcity of talents, the fact that you're able to automate, the fact that you're able to use new technologies like low-code, no-code, RPA, and obviously automation in all forms is a way also to be hands-free on the systems and also automate as much as we can and to some extent do less on those systems. Same thing with when we talk about, for example, infrastructure, we talk about invisible infrastructure, because everything that you can make flawless to some extent and fully automatic is a way to save time, efforts that you can obviously devote to something else.
Okay.
Just a short notice on that.
No, I absolutely love that. Fighting the case for hands-free automation there. And of course, this is all about doing less. So yeah, automation can absolutely take some of that pressure off. Ron, we've brought you back in.
I want to add, because
Please.
that's such an important point, that, as I mentioned before, getting your workforce energized at work, part of it is removing the tedium and the complexity of their tasks, and automation will do that. So in a way, that item is also about a human effort to make the humans at work more engaged by making it easier for them to do a good job and be successful.
Yes, that is such a good point, and allowing them to concentrate on higher value tasks. So important at the moment as well, when we are in a skills shortage, as Pascal mentioned in the opening. We're having to upskill talent. They shouldn't be wasting time on things that can be automated. Ron, we've also brought you back into the fore, which is great. Anything to weigh in on those poll results from you?
Well, Pascal was a little bit quicker than I was, because I had the same feeling. The actual design principle in TechnoVision, as we call it, is called no hands on deck. So we're not saying, automate, but actually we're also saying augment. So for example, have AI do for you, the heavy lifting, so that you can indeed focus on stuff that are not on deck in terms of make the boat sail, right? But actually be very much not only being automated in what you do, but actually being augmented and be able to do a lot of heavy lifting, even if necessary, with lesser capabilities and lesser resources available. So I think it's an underestimated one for now. I think we need to, push ourselves to look more like it at that. So sometimes it's very tempting to say, well, we have already a set of established processes. We have established governance. We have established role descriptions. We have an organization that is established. So now we're going to apply technology to it, see if we can improve. But all of these things are sort of, maybe a little bit too well established. So through that design principle, we try to challenge them. All of us essentially involved in technology business to take a little bit more distance in terms of what if we could do it all again, and we have intelligent automation at our disposal, but also augmentation. What would actually our solution look like? And it might be quite different. So it's here to challenge ourselves and stretch ourselves, designing solutions. Having said that, every business is a technology business, so business technology alignment. I would completely agree. With James and also David, I guess, that if you don't have that going, what is the point of trying to really get a better organization through technology? So if that alignment, which often is not the case, and it's not even alignment, right, needs to be one and the same thing. Every business is a technology business. Alignment is just a small aspiration compared to being completely fluent and one and the same, really one and the same organization. So the favorite one with the audience is probably also the key one, and the one that is a little bit underestimated. We would like to say, well, don't underestimate it, because there's a lot of potential there to achieve.
Thank you, Ron, and thank you, Pascal, David, and James, too. Quite a contentious poll that was, wasn't it? Thank you for creating a little bit of drama here in the studio. We love to see it. Thank you for taking part in that one. We have got a brand new section coming up for you right now, which is all about navigating reducing resources. So if you have any questions at all, do get those into us using the chat function. For now, though, please welcome back Ron, David, and James, who are going to take us through our next panel section. Hello, all.
Hello.
Hi,
hey, as I mentioned, we are talking all things resource-based. Ron, I'm going to come back to you first. No rest for the wicked. We are facing huge challenges when it comes to that planning and management of the innovation agenda within this resources crisis that you guys at Capgemini have very much identified. So how have your guiding principles over at Capgemini changed in light of this information?
Well, the interesting thing is that what pertains to our clients pertains to ourselves. Being in this industry, in the digital IT industry, it pertains to ourselves as well. Maybe if you would be in America, you would say you have to eat your own dog food. Well, we are originally French company, so we like to say we drink our own champagne. But I like to think that what we advise and what we embark on with our clients in terms of performing better with less resources and using technology for it pertains to us as, let's say, technology people or technology business people as well. So if you look at all, we already discussed in automation, intelligent automation as one of the technologies that help us to do, let's say, more with less, or maybe less with less if we're having very smart about our portfolio. But also, of course, real-time smart algorithms that help us to make split-second type of decisions. Of course, the usage of edge computing. I'm sure David will be back on that in a second if we're starting to talk cars. I would have, sensors and Internet of Things is very crucial there. It leads to self-driving supply chains, self-driving and self-optimizing processes. Then there's, of course, sharing of data. And then there's all the hype and all the excitement currently about generative and creative AI. And all of these help our clients a lot to deal with all the big challenges they have, like scarcity, sustainability journey, unpredictability. But interesting enough, of course, when delivering all of that from a Capgemini perspective, all of that applies to ourselves as well. Because we want to, in the scene of shortage of skilled people, which is a given in the industry right now, you want to find smarter, more innovative ways to still produce better. And for example, the use of generative AI to help you in testing or augment you in programming would be quite crucial, but also a touchless, frictionless type of supply chain, also within the whole end-to-end, let's say, IT solutioning function, would be very much augmented, I think, by the technology I just alluded to. So this is for everybody who is in IT or in consulting or in strategy or in architecture, and we're advising and bringing our clients on that journey to do more with less technology actually pertains to ourselves as well. So although it's a little bit earlier today for me, I would love to have a glass of my own champagne.
I second that. I'm coming towards 4 p.m, so it should be okay for me once we wrap up here. But we've got plenty more.
Yeah, in the UK it would be, probably, yeah.
I'll join you after, Ron, but we've got loads more to get through before I can even think about that. So back to the day job. David, coming straight to you. Ron was there just talking about that idea about doing more with less and making that a reality. Over at Link, that's kind of your bread and butter, isn't it? How are you making that happen?
Yeah, there's a sustainability point to this, but using resources better is financially good, and businesses and individuals like that. So there's a way to win twice. At Link & Co, we're stepping into the future world of autonomous without autonomous, and what we're trying to encourage is our members, our car owners, to share their car out with other people. It's a crazy thing if you think about it, that one of our most expensive assets pretty much sits around unused most of the time, just being available for us when we need to go somewhere. Obviously, it's not easy to make that available for someone else without leveraging technology, and we're not quite at level 5 autonomous yet. But if you can make your car available and someone else can use it with digital keys, you reduce the amount of unused space of that resource, which of course hopefully means that ultimately you need less stuff. You make better use of it. And I think that is one of the key bits of the future that the massive change in technology that's going on now will enable us to do.
Fascinating stuff. So less stuff. James, are you observing this more efficient use of technology? And what does that look like? Does less stuff mean less hardware, less boxes? We're in the cloud now?
Well, certainly the cloud is an example that's been with us now for a decade of saying I don't need to have, well, more than a decade, don't need to have my own boxes and wires inside my facility with its own air conditioning supply and people to attend to it, and people have to get up in the middle of the night if something goes wrong. So we've already made it clear that business can operate on fewer resources than we did 10 years ago, but there's still a lot more opportunity for this to happen. If you think about moving processes, things that used to be physical to virtual, and then moving processes that used to take time and energy. There's another version of just less time to do things. Thinking about driving the car that David is suggesting, I remember as a child, to go to the bank to deposit my paper route money, I had to get in the car with my mom. She had to drive us to the bank. We had to get out of the car. We had to go wait in a line. I had to then write out a piece of paper and then hand the money over. And then they would give me a piece of paper telling me I'd handed the money over. Think about all the physical waste involved, but the time waste for everybody. Well, there are still so many places in our lives where automation could remove those steps and essentially create invisibility that is augmenting or multiplying the value that we're receiving from our service providers and organizations. I mean, that's essentially what Link & Co is trying to be, is a provider of a service, a set of services through a relationship. And you can augment that in many, many ways, most of which reduce the stuff, the time, the energy, and the fret or worry that people have to put into these things.
Oh, okay, it's certainly a lot to consider though, isn't it? We also touched a little bit on the greenwashing tactics that sometimes we can get into hot water about, can't we? If we think, oh, sustainability has to be a part of my innovation projects. Pascal, is that something you're able to weigh in on?
Yes, I think it's not that sustainability has to be part of my overall project, that sustainability is an ingredient by design. So it's not about, doing something and then looking at the sustainability potential issue around it. That's by starting by having, the overall sustainability in mind that you make the right decision. Let me give you an example for that. One of the things we highlight into TechnoVision this year is the risk of technical debt, what we call technical debt, which is the fact that any new technology that you introduce is great, as long as you dispose of the older technology. Otherwise, you're just putting technology on top of technology. Moving to cloud is great, but if you keep the older system as well, there is no good for CO2 reduction. Although we might argue that, yes, moving to cloud is great in terms of CO2 reduction, as long as obviously you get rid of the older system. And if you don't get rid of them to some extent, at least you need to have a plan to reuse, repurpose, recycle. So that's what I mean by, taking that sustainability as a starting point in everything you do. So it's not about just choosing the technology. It's what do I do with the current one? How do I get rid of the current one so that I get the full benefit from the new one, as well as the full benefit from, I would say, the CO2 footprint that goes with it.
Absolutely, and being able to bridge the gap between the two as you innovate. Not an easy task, is it? And I think we've identified a lot of food for thought that we can take away with us. So let's take a breather. Should we lighten the mood a little bit? There's so many challenges, aren't there, in the times that we're living in, but there are plenty more exciting opportunities ahead. And don't sometimes challenges create the best ones? I would love to hear about some of the tech trends our panellists just can't get enough of. And I'm going to be sneaky and put them under a little bit of pressure. They actually only have 60 seconds to tell us why their tech trend should be number one. And if you agree with our panelists, if you disagree, if you have a whole different tech trend that you think is going to lead the way for the rest of the year, let us know. Pop it in the chat. We'd love to hear it. Okay, let's welcome back then James, David, Ron and Pascal. Hello.
Oh.
Right, okay, you're under pressure, chaps, so make it snappy. James, your favourite tech trend and why? Over to you.
I have to say it's got to be we collaborate. Collaboration is going to be so crucial to making all of these other things work. We're going to have to collaborate across silos, a problem we've been dealing with forever. But at the same time, we're going to have to work with our ecosystem partners. We're going to have to work essentially with our customers. If you think about having a dynamic customer relationship is really a form of collaboration. And that's a technological thing. We have to have the basis for that technology or for that collaboration in place. But it's a cultural thing. We have to have a culture where we understand how to collaborate, how to respect each other's needs, how to create permission for each other to contribute in ways that are meaningful while taking risks to be innovative. And I hope I did that in under a minute.
You definitely did, and you're like me, you have the capacity to speak very, very quickly, so you can get an awful lot out in a short space of time. Love it, James, thank you. David, how about you? What tech do you think is going to continue to disrupt us as we look ahead?
Well, I should say autonomous cars, it's our industry, and I think that they could be, given the right circumstances, just around the corner, literally within the decade. And they would massively change the way that we have mobility around a city and how much it costs us and how efficient it is. But from a very personal perspective, having seen a demo a little while ago, this convergence of these chatbots and mixed reality could create something so unbelievably cool. Maybe we don't need to leave the house at all.
Wow, that would be quite a future, wouldn't it? Thank you so much, David. OK, let's get an alternative perspective. Ron, I'm coming to you. Make your case for the best tech trend.
Well, hopefully not a tech trend that always keeps me at home, by the way, but I'd fancy something else. I work for insights and data organization within Capgemini, so anything data, of course, fascinates me. It's very tempting to say what we call in TechnoVision creative machine, which is all about, already for a few years, by the way, we've been flagging it, is generative creative AI. Which we've all seen, of course, a clear flavor of it in the past few weeks and months. But I'll go for what we call net zero data. It's a new trend in TechnoVision. And this is about, first of all, the key role of data on the sustainability journey towards that net zero or other ambition you might have over there. How crucial it is, not only to gather it, but particularly also to collaborate. To the point earlier, to collaborate and share that as much as possible. Because if you can't measure your impact, your sustainability impact, how can you improve on it? But the interesting thing about it is it's a journey with benefits, because while doing so, you up your data mastery. You get better data management because you have to, because of that journey. And, you also understand how to share data in a better way. So I sometimes call this a journey with benefits. So sustainability is you're making the journey it for, but while doing so, you actually up your data mastery, your capabilities around data as well. And by the way, the same pertains to applications. We call this new trend Little Green App, which is hilarious if you're in the Netherlands, but nowhere else. But it's hilarious, trust me, in the Netherlands. And Little Green App is about green software engineering. And it's also about re-engineering your application landscape, which is good for sustainability. But at the same time, you get a much better, rationalized, cleaned up application landscape as an additional benefit as well.
Wow, I might have been a bit sneaky and let you go a bit over there, Ron, but I was absolutely enthralled by by this concept of green applications and how sustainability can bring so many more benefits. But enough about me. Pascal, over to you. I can't wait to hear your thoughts on the best tech trend.
Sorry, I was on mute, obviously. In a few seconds, I would choose balance by design, which is our guiding principles on how you should make all those decisions. We already mentioned several times the key one for me, which is every business is a technology business. If you start with that in mind and you build your business around the fact that technology is fully not only aligned, but is fully, part of your business model, that is opening the way you would build, obviously, all your information system. And as part of the new trends that you reintroduced this year, there is obviously this do good, do less, do well, which is, and that's why we've chosen it for today's discussion, is guiding you on how you can say yes to positive, purposeful initiatives and no to others, which is very difficult, we know it.
It certainly is. Thank you all so much, Pascal, Ron, David and James, for weighing in there. What did you think? Let us know. Your responses are so valuable to today's event. But right, we are on to the most exciting time of today, where we take your questions. And now is the last opportunity to get them into us. So please do that by entering them into the chat. And you have the opportunity to bring you up on stage and ask them to the panel. Right, let's get going, shall we? Welcome back all of our panelists. Hello, Ron, David, Pascal, James. Ron, I'm coming to you first, and we are going to talk about ChatGPT. It's taken the world by storm, hasn't it? What do we need to know now, and how on earth does it fit in with what we've been discussing today?
Well, I think it fits in perfectly, to be honest. And by the way, it took us a little bit by surprise. As you will read through TechnoVision, you'll see a lot of mentions of ChatGPT. But as part of this bigger generative creative movement that we're currently seeing from AI. But ChatGPT, of course, is a very recent development. I'm happy to have it in anyway. But obviously, as it will help us to augment us in doing some of the heavy lifting, I always call it an 80-20 type of thing. So it can help you to create the foundations of whatever you're working on. Could be a piece of text, could be visual imagery, which ChatGPT wouldn't do, but text to image type of generative AI, but also in terms of development, testing. So again, drinking our own champagne. You used to have pair programming, right? So you would have a co-pilot sitting next to you, and you would do pair programming, and you work with each other, you provide each other with feedback. Imagine you have a ChatGPT, pair programmer next to you, whispering in your ear what you should do, helping you to find the bugs, helping you to improve on the code, helping you while testing. All of that is extremely interesting. And we all feel, of course, if we do it right, also, by the way, in an ethical way, but if we do it right and we don't let ourselves being fooled, of course, by something which is definitely artificial. There is a reason why there's an A in AI. It's artificial. It doesn't have common sense. It doesn't understand necessarily the context. But if we do it well, we have that 80-20 rule working for us. So all of the hefty lifting already done for us, and we can put on, just add water. We add our own differentiating water to make something that makes it truly special. So I love that development, and let's apply common sense to it, to use it right.
Okay, and on the subject of ChatGPT, has it got any relevance to exactly what's been going on during today's event? Ron, that was back to you.
Sorry, I missed the question, Jade, in terms of exactly.
Oh, no worries at all. Let's move on, because we have got a burning question from somebody in the audience, which who we are going to bring up live right now. So everybody, please welcome Dan from Mendips. Hello, Dan. Great to see you. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing good. Thank you.
Hey.
What a great show, I have to say.
Oh, well, that is very kind. We love to hear that. Please ask away.
Yeah, I think Ron already answered most of my question, actually. My question was, do you expect that... Yeah, sorry, but you were proactive already, so that's a good thing. I was wondering if platforms like ChatGPT will replace high-code, low-code, no-code platforms in the near future.
I think that's still highly relevant. Any thoughts, Ron, or any other takers?
Well, greetings to Rotterdam, by the way. I'm not sure where you currently are, but maybe in Rotterdam, knowing it's Mendix, which of course is one of the leading. It's of course one of the leading low-code tools in the world, I would say. And so the question is certainly also from a product management perspective. We all know that we need more low-code and no-code. But what if conversational systems would give a whole new meaning to low-code and no-code because the system does it for you, right? I find that highly interesting, but again, without understanding structure, architecture, the intention of the solution, having a common sense, having an engineering mindset, I believe it can bring you straight to doom. And also in an 80-20% way, right? Will bring you right in the center of all the misery. Yeah. If you do it wrong. Can you ignore it these days, as whether you're Mendix or Microsoft or anybody else in software development? I don't think so. And I know the industry is currently very much trying to embrace this and see what this leads to. And it's definitely a different world for a developer within maybe months.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, certainly provokes some food for thought there, Dan. Thank you. And also, let's just come to you quickly there, James, if you don't mind. Obviously, you're at the forefront of research. Are you thinking ChatGPT is going to be something that we see becoming a big part of tech trends looking ahead?
It really has the opportunity to be. It's just a question of how creatively people apply it. I mean, that's really the issue. You can use it. I could use it today to compose emails or summaries of our own reports so that I can share it with someone who's a new hire and can't read 40 reports and needs to read a summary of 40 reports to get started. Those are things that can happen with the technology today. The question is whether we will institute the processes and open our cultures in such a way that we use those technologies effectively and quickly. But I will say, to my earlier point about learning how to quickly test technologies, this one is free to test and it can be tested quickly. And the goal would be to test it across multiple domains to see where we can get value out of it as quickly as possible and then not waste time on the things that maybe aren't right for our company at this moment.
Okay, great response. Thank you so much. Well, I do have another question for you. It is from Marta and David. It's a question for you. What's your view on the metaverse?
this is one of those ones that I get sold on a regular basis. Would you like some metaverse? And I'm a bit skeptical at the moment. It's brilliant in the right context. Fortnite with the kids, fantastic. But as replacing a website, it's not there yet. It's not there yet. On the other hand, and this is what I alluded to earlier, I did see a demonstration of a brilliant mixed reality setup. And in that context, I could sit in a room that I could see and touch with the landscape of Mars projected around me, with a television screen on the wall that wasn't really there, and a laptop in front of me that I couldn't touch with my hands but could type on, and a meeting with avatars that I felt were in the room with me. When we get to that point, then I think the metaverse is going to fundamentally change an awful lot of things. It has great potential. At the moment, we're trying to shove it into the wrong things, possibly.
Can I elaborate on that, Jade?
Please do.
There are also one aspect of the metaverse that we sometimes forget, which is the industrial metaverse, which is really what we call the Internet of Twins. So using the concept of digital twins, which has been around for years, and mixing it with the metaverse to create, I would say, a replica in the virtual world of existing industrial assets that you can manage into the metaverse. Obviously, even what is good with that type of the metaverse is that the use cases are more clear than on what we could do with it. Nevertheless, the technology is still suffering from, the problem of scaling and power and all those things. So the technology is not fully ready, but the use cases are maybe more natural than what they would be in what we see currently with the metaverse.
Yeah, there's also that argument that currently the metaverse relies so heavily on hardware, doesn't it? One, not very scalable. Two, not very sustainable. So we've got all of that to factor in as well. Okay, one more question. It's from Vishal. They want to know, how do we figure out what's here to stay, or what's a tech bubble ready to burst? We've touched on this a little bit. Let's find out a little bit more. David, can I come to you on that one?
You can. If only I knew, I'd know where to put my money and invest. I think what it is that the pace of change is so quick that we can be too early to jump on a bandwagon, or too late to adopt something and wake up one day and find out that everybody's got ahead of you. I think there are some definite trends and we've seen them in this session today. And keeping an eye on those, I think, is important, and knowing really when metaverse is going to be useful and important to your business, rather than just something that is a marketing bubble. We've seen over the last few weeks the huge potential of ChatGPT in terms of generating money and buzz and competition from the different markets. Whether it'll go somewhere, I'm not sure, but it'll get there eventually. I think we're all certain of. And again, I'll repeat myself. It's when do you jump on board with that and use it for your business in a cost-effective way that brings benefit to the customer.
Absolutely, taking it.
If I can add.
Yeah, please.
One of the areas that at least we can derive some satisfaction from history is when it appears that people are spending millions of dollars or euros on something that there's no economic value, we can usually rule that out. So NFTs were an interesting experiment as long as they didn't cost a lot of money, as an easy example of something that now people are saying, what in the world did we expect? Why was that worth billions? It never was. Just like the tulip bulb craze from hundreds of years ago, just like many, many other rushes to jump into something, and suddenly it's worth 100 times more than anyone ever imagined, but there's no actual value there. And NFTs were that way. I think the metaverse, David is correct to point that one out as an example of something that there is a there. And he's described it very aptly. But the timing is the issue on that one. I totally agree. So some things you can tell aren't going to be real. And so don't get caught speculating on them. But some things it's really testing, keeping a small portfolio approach so that you can figure out when will this work for us and you don't get left behind.
Yes, some strong thoughts there. Unfortunately, that is all we've got time for. So thank you so much to all of our esteemed panelists. Ron, Pascal, David, James, you've really brought TechnoVision 2023 to life. A thank you for all your thoughts, and we couldn't have done it without you. But just before we wrap up, I know Pascal has got some closing thoughts for us. So without further ado, Pascal, please, over to you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Ed. So, well, very short ones. I'm just trying to wrap up what we just said, and I think the conclusion I would have is following. The first one is whether we like it or not, technology is here to stay, and technology avalanche will not stop. So I don't know whether it's good news or bad news for some of us, but this is what it is. For us, obviously, as technologists, we see this as a good thing, because we definitely think that using the technology right is giving us a chance really to cope and face the challenges that we have in front of us, for sure. That's one. The second one is that scarcity is also here to stay. There will be no magic things by which, scarcity of energy in the future, or scarcity of talents, or all those things will all of a sudden go away, and we will come back to the older ways of doing things. And the scrutiny under CO2 emissions and scope 1, 2, and 3 of all our organization, and namely scope 3, will be bigger and bigger. So we have to take that into account. And the question is, how do we cope with this situation? And we think that really there is a call to action for new ways to look at technologies and embrace technologies. We don't believe in a world where there would only be sobriety. Stop doing things or stop using things because we can't afford it. So we need to be smarter than that, and we need to find ways to select the right technologies and use them the right way. This is what we've tried to do with TechnoVision this year. So I really encourage you. It might not be perfect, but we've tried to look at it, and that's why we decided this year to have a CXO version of it, a short version of 10 pages, a longer one for IT professionals so that they understand what it means when it comes to building IT systems, and also a lot of collaterals around it with videos and things like that, that is giving you a new way to try to get into our trends and understand what we see as the new trends coming for the years to come. So I really hope you will enjoy the reading. Please come back to us if you want, to react, have suggestions for us for next year, or things we forgot. We are really willing to get any feedback so that we can improve for our next edition next year. And again, thank you very much for being with us today.
Thank you, Pascal, and thank you so much to our audience for taking part. What a show. So grateful to all of you for being a part of TechnoVision 2023. Well, just before we wrap things up, we do have one last poll for you, and you should see that question appear on your screens right now. So do get your thoughts into us. Right, some good news is that you are not leaving here empty-handed, and as a little memento, you can download that all-important TechnoVision 2023 report that Pascal mentioned, and it's for decision makers. The QR code is on your screens right now. All you need to do is scan it. And some other little snippet of information. You might have noticed there was a smart aleck in the chat function on Zoom today. Those questions that were being asked in the chat were, in fact, being answered by ChatGPT. Would you believe it at all? The capabilities are endless, but that is all we've got time for. Thank you so much for being an invaluable part of today's event. I've loved spending it with you. Wishing you all the best on your innovation journeys, and look forward to seeing you all again soon. Do take care. Goodbye.